everyone, this is Piu over at Toil with Tarot. Welcome back to my channel. I know I've been back from a bit of a hiatus, and today I have a VR for you and my new top-down setup. The VR I'm going to do today is Tarot Decks for Life by Simon over at the Hermit's Cave. And I have divided my decks into 10 categories and picked a representative for each category to talk about. So to dive right in, the first category of deck I have is a basic RWS. A basic RWS deck, no matter what the production, the printing, it's mass market, it's indie, I will always have one of the original RWS. The one that I currently have, which is new to my collection, is the latest edition of the Brigh. I just received it. This is the box that it came in. I don't store it in this box. I store it in the leather bag because the box was really difficult to open. The cardstock is really beautiful. It comes in this linen waffle texture, which you can probably see my camera pick up. It's got beautiful clean lines, beautiful colors. It's an RWS, so it's a straight reader. And when the first deck that I learned on also was the RWS way back in 2023. It was the Wisner Tarot. It was not this particular copy, but it was recolorized. And after I got to know the images and I got familiar with the Rider-Waite-Smith system and the meanings of the cards, I think I wanted to go back to Pixie's original coloring and learn more about the colors and their meanings. So I have come to appreciate this original version more now than perhaps when I started in the beginning. I also have the borderless Centennial and the Centennial in a tin, but they have like a sort of brownish tea stained finish to them, which these cards don't have, and I really appreciate the clarity and sharpness of this deck, this particular copy of the RWS. So that's my first deck that is never leaving my collection. The second one is a reader for me that is an everyday reader that I can throw at anything. And for me, that's the Morgan Greer. This is a deck, it's a mass market deck. It's by US Games. It's got their old cardstock. It's got really beautiful cardstock. It shuffles well. The Morgan Greer for me, it's like a super straightforward reader. I use it in predictive readings when I do them for myself, which I do very rarely. But when I do them, I do lean on this deck. I can throw this at any question. I can throw it at any client. I can throw it at any age group, any type of question. And I will always get very clear answers. It has a very neutral voice in which it talks to me. So, and the images are very clear, they're close up, they're in your face. The line work is clear. It is old school, but it's a beautiful deck. So that's the second deck that's never leaving my collection. I can't say that after every deck, but here we are. The third category of decks that are never leaving my collection is a pip deck. And here I've gone off script a little already. I have two examples of a pip deck. This is the deck I would say is never leaving my collection. But the Trinity Tarot by Wisner, which is a mass market deck, is a very good example of another pip deck, which is easy, which is an easy reader. It's very clean. So I'll be showing you both. The first deck I said, this is an independent deck. It's Viola Lux Umbra by Lila and Olive. It has beautiful matte gold edges. These are the backs. It's a plant-based pip deck. It's got a very limited color palette. It's got aged paperback designs. The cardstock quality is amazing, but this is harder to procure, and it's not always easy to get, and I understand that the cards are not always in print. So it's a beautiful reader. It, again, very neutral voice for me. Can read for multiple situations. It has a very quiet energy. It feels like you've to sort of sit and listen. It doesn't really talk back at you as loudly as a Morgan Greer would, I would say. So this is the pip deck example that's never leaving my collection. But the other deck that I wanted to show you really quick is the Trinity Tarot, which is a square deck, and the reason I wanted to show this to you guys, is because I want to make sure that every time I show a deck that I say would never leave my collection, I'm not at the same time saying that that's the deck you need to have for this category to be functional in your collection. So even this deck, as a mass market pip deck, it's a beautiful, clean reader. It has very evocative images. It is pips with feelings. It is not just, two of these and see, like, it's not just 3 cups in a row. It's still 3 cups. You see the celebratory atmosphere. You see the outward radiating golden lines of joy. So it's definitely something that you can read into with the images. And it shuffles well. It's trusty. You can throw it in your bag, take it anywhere with you. It's mass market. You can read it at bars. You can read it at cafes. The cards can be wiped down because they've got this shiny sort of coating on it. So if they get dirty, and all of these, I think, make it worth a mention for this category. That if you want to try a pip deck and you've never had a pip deck before, this is the one I recommend. Again, it is the Trinity Tarot by R.E. Wisner. The next deck that I have is a curated art deck, and the curated art deck I chose was the Revival Art. Now, I know this says the 2nd edition, but actually what I did was that I mixed both editions to make my own Revival Art deck. So these are the backs from the 1st edition, and these are the backs from the 2nd edition. And as you can see in my deck, I've got both mixed up. So I got both the editions of the decks because I couldn't choose the one I liked the best or the one in which all of the images spoke to me. And I had the liberty and the funds back then to purchase both editions and then make my own deck where I chose each card. So this is specifically curated towards my tastes. I have now, after I've had this for maybe 2 years, and now I have really strong associations with these images. I don't buy a lot of curated art decks because if they overlap, then I feel a dissonance, basically. If I've associated this image with the 9 of Swords and then I see it again and it's the 3 of Swords, it'll sort of mess with my head. So I am very particular about the curated art decks that now come into my collection, now that I have the folkloric series, I have the Lacrimosa Tarot, and I have Revival Art. I think those are my top three. I also have the Tarot of Persephone and um, the Artemis Tarot. So I think I've been lucky till now that nothing has overlapped. I do not have the Majestic Earth because by the time I was collecting tarot decks, it was already very difficult to acquire and very expensive. But yeah, this, I'm very careful when it comes to curated art decks now, and much more picky than, let's say, 2 years ago. So this is my curated art tarot deck. I love the queens that I chose. They look so regal and beautiful. It's funny, even though this art is not technically made for tarot. So curated art, for those of you who don't know, and I'm assuming that's very few who have wandered into my corner of YouTube, a curated art deck is basically when you have art pieces that you then align to tarot meanings. And these images, despite them not originally being one for made for tarot, are very evocative. The reason I see, for example, this card, so it's there in Majestic Earth. It is the Three of Wands in some case. It is the Two of, I've seen it as the Two of Wands, and I usually do not keep this image in this edition. I recently just changed it because I've seen this image a few times. So yeah. The next deck on my list is a daily reader. So when I first started reading tarot, this was my deck. This was the one that I took to work. I took the small size of it to work. This is the, everyone knows this deck. This is the Everyday Witch Tarot. It's mass market, produced by Llewellyn. It has shiny cardstock, cute backs. They're not reversible. I had the mini version. I still have the mini version of this, and I used to take it to work with me, read during lunches. And this was the deck that I say I learned tarot on the RWS, which means that I, learned the meanings and learned the images. But this was the deck that actually taught me how to read. I learned how to read using this deck. It was witchy, it was fun, it was everyday. It did not take itself too seriously, and yet it gave the most perfect readings. So this is definitely a deck that, and also this was the first deck that I successfully riffle shuffled, because Llewellyn cardstock is super flexible and really good for learning how to shuffle. So I have memories with this deck that are very precious to me. So that's the Everyday Witch Tarot, which is the deck that taught me how to read. The next deck I have is a deck that never ceases to make me laugh, which is the Sassy Dragons Tarot by Peggy Pepes, supervised by Lisa Pepes, illustrated by Andrew Rogers and Christopher Pencil. Again, as we know, my favorite version of this deck is the classic edition, surprisingly, because it has some of the punchiest lines. It has beautiful linen cardstock with the waffle texture. It is an RWS clone, and beautifully illustrated. The dragons are cute. The sayings are amazing. It is sassy. It doesn't beat around the bush. This is usually a reader I use, I think, before I go to bed often, because I don't want to, I want meanings written on the cards when I go to bed. I don't want to be sitting and needing to think. So sometimes this is just the kind of bright spot I need before I go to sleep, which is very interesting because usually people go for much more calm, deep, reflective messages, and I just go for sassy dragons at night. So that's my deck that makes me smile every time I use it. And then for that reason, among others, it is never leaving my collection. I should say that I also have the not safe for work version and I love it, but I do tend to go for this more. This is my personal version. The next deck I have is a representation of an animal deck. Now, it is the Heartwood Tarot by 3 Trees Tarot. 3 Trees Tarots are a deck experience unto themselves, I think. I have, except for the Oak, Ash and Thorn mini, I have most of their decks. They are beautifully produced. These are the backs. This is by Adam Ohlers and Stephanie Burrows. And Adam Ohlers' artwork is just so beautiful. So this is my version of a quiet animal deck. This is an internal reader for me. It's more reflective. It makes you think. I think it gives me, because it's from this perspective of this mouse exploring this cottage, I always feel like it zooms me in to the little things, to make you notice the little things, like, for example, this Knight of Swords, right? It zooms me into this little mouse instead of looking at the huge picture. Whereas the Knight of Swords is usually a very speedy card, and he's all about movement and dynamism. But here I see a stillness to the Knight as well. So it has a very interesting perspective. It's animals. The artwork is beautiful. And this is my pick. Any of the 3 Trees decks would really do here, but this is my personal pick for an animal deck that I will always have. The next deck on the list is, since we did animals, now we're going to do plants. So I'm going to show the Tarot of Trees. This is the 10th anniversary edition. It is humongous. And I have the 6th edition as well here. But for the sake of just showing the deck, I'll show you the big one, because the images are beautiful, easy to see. These are the backs, the beautiful backs. It has matte gold edges. It is, I can just about side shuffle it. When I got this deck, I did not know that it was going to have such a profound impact on me. It is simple. The line work is simple, the color work is simple, and yet it is so evocative. It is so, you can see movement in the trees. You can see the relationships. This deck has been around for ages. It's definitely not new, but I absolutely love it. It gives me tree wisdom more so than plant energy, but I am not also very familiar with plants, so tree wisdom works for me. It's got seasons in the minors. I think the pentacles are winter, the swords are autumn, the wands are summer, and the cups are spring. And that's how I have also learned the associations of the suits with the seasons. I know there are different associations out there. There are some people who associate swords with winter, but I learned it through the medium of this deck, so I follow the one on this deck. This is a beautiful death card, which we will end on. This is the Tarot of Trees, the 10th anniversary edition. The next deck is a deck that's caught me by surprise and is a fairly intuitive reader, and that's the Future Ancestor Tarot by Lexa Luna Studio. I did not buy this deck for the longest time because it has a very limited color palette. These are the backs. Also another linen cardstock. It has a limited color palette. And yet when you read with it, it reads very beautifully. It's got changes in the suit's name and in the names of the court cards as well. The needles are swords, seeds are pentacles, cups are the same, and wands, if it ever comes up, wands are candles. So as you can see, there's mostly white, there's a lot of white space here. There's some limited greens, some yellows, some reds. It's got a very simple art style, and yet it's not to be underestimated because it reads so well, and it's such an intuitive reader. It's very calm. It holds your hand. It's really warm. It's the Future Ancestor Tarot. So that's my one intuitive reader on the list. The 10th deck I have is a deck that gives me pure joy, and for that I've chosen the Craft Felt Tarot by Gianna Lucci. It comes with this little book of haikus, which are like super cute. That's the guidebook. Instead of meanings, you have these little haikus, and they capture the card essence so well. It's got black core cardstock. These are the backs. They're fun. This deck is bright. It is colorful. It is made of felt, completely done by hand. It also won the 2026 Tarocco Awards. So congratulations to Gianna for that. She made an amazing deck. I love this queen. She's so beautiful. It's got bright pops of color. It's a joy to use in the summer. It's a joy to use in the winter when you want color. I sometimes even pull it around Christmas when I want color. I use it in the monsoons. It is a very nice soft reader. It's an interesting take on the Hierophant. I love her use of color, and then when she doesn't use color, it's equally eye-catching. The courts are done, the nights are beautiful, the courts are well done. And then, so this is the deck that brings my inner child joy. The other two decks that I have, two additional decks that I have, are, since I have a Rider-Waite-Smith, I always have a Marseille and a Thoth deck. So I thought I would show those as well. So the Marseille deck that I have is Tarocchi Italiani by Valentina de Luca. This is the first edition. She now has come out with the second edition and a travel size edition. I have not yet rounded the corners on these. I love the watercolor painting, the way she's depicted, the details of the artwork. It's the aged paper, the aged handmade paper look. Like everything about this deck is super luxe and super beautiful. And this is going to stay with me forever. The glint across the swords. Like she's done such a beautiful job. I do have a mass market Marseille deck that I used to practice on, but this is the one that I want to finally read with when I know how to read Marseille super well. So this is my Marseille, my one Marseille example, and my one Thoth example. Of course, I have Crowley's Thoth deck, but that's not the one I'm going to be showing today. The one I'm going to be showing today is the Maria Tarot. So the Maria Tarot was a Kickstarter, I believe, but I got it later. Before it has, these are the backs. It has the linen cardstock. You can see the waffle texture. It is the Thoth deck that appealed to me the most. It's very close to the original Thoth artwork. I haven't read with it yet. I haven't started down my Thoth journey, but when I do eventually, this is going to be the one and only Thoth deck that I use. I've seen others. They are attractive, but this is my, I think, this is my Thoth deck. This is the one that I want to look at. The images that I would look at again and again and again. So, yeah. That's my one Thoth category. So, in addition to my 10 decks, I added two for one for Thoth and one for Marseille. Let me know what you thought about my choices. Let me know if you would have made different ones, similar ones, if you had any comments. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.